In the last issue, Ronin escaped the three heroes, after dogging them very easily, and proving that it wasn't Hawkeye who was attacking the Hood's operations. But who is the current Ronin? It's not Echo, or the Red Guardian then, who is it? Stick around as we'll find out at the end of this issue. The next day, after getting reamed by the Ronin, Clint and his girlfriend Linda Carter attend a charity. She asks why they're at a charity event, as this type of thing would be something Tony Stark would do. And as Clint was gobbling down some OVDs, he says that Tony Stark didn't invent charity. Just then, Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, comes from behind and says, "He didn't what?" And Clint tells him that he was telling Linda how he essentially made charity. Then Tony asks Linda, out of all the Avengers, why him? As he tries to rizz her up, she tells Tony that she's tired of heroes with giant egos and have small everything else. I would like to pause and say that comic Tony is more of an asshole and womanizer than in the MCU. As the announcer gets ready to announce the biggest donor at the even, Tony straightens himself as he believes that it is him, until the announcer says that Clint Barton was the biggest donor at the event, which shocks not only Tony but Linda as well, as Clint goes up on stage, leaving Tony extremely pissed. As Clint starts to give a speech, it's quickly shown that his mic skills are as bad as his jokes he was throwing out. And as Linda talks to Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, about how bad his mic skills are, Peter then gets a notification on his phone. And like in Peter Parker fashion, he dips out to do hero work. But what's the reason that Peter had to leave the event early, you may ask? That's because during the charity, Ronin had yet again attacked one of the Hood's operations. And as the Ronin takes the Hood's money, one of the Hood's henchmen comes from behind and tries to take him out. But he manages to dodge the bullet and sticks him to the wall with his sword, as the henchman tells Ronin that the Hood is going to get his get back. But the Ronin tells the henchman he can try. But before he could leave, Spider-Man comes in, and like in Spidey fashion starts making quips, asking where he got that goofy-looking costume. Ronin tells him that this doesn't concern him. But before he could leave, Spidey tries to stop him from taking the money. But as he cuts the web, he starts a brawl with the wall crawler. But not wanting to waste too much time fighting Spider-Man, he throws one of his katanas at a gas tank and causes an explosion. And as both fall out of the building and land on cars, Spidey quickly stops half the building from falling. But this allows the Ronin to escape from Spider-Man. The next day, Hawkeye is in a fight with a C-list villain called the Human Bomb. And as they fight, the Human Bomb calls Clint the worst Avenger. "Yeah, sure, buddy, and you're the best villain around." And as they continue to fight, my man, Luke Cage comes by and asks about the Ronin situation. Clint tells him that it wasn't him, and he was out at a charity event. And he went to that charity event to impress his girlfriend. Then Luke Cage says that it's probably some dude out on some Punisher stuff. He then tells Clint that, if he really wanted to help the community, he should help people kick their addiction, instead of fighting the dealers and blowing up buildings. Man, Luke Cage just put a lot of heroes on fraud watch. Luke then asks how Clint got a lot of money in the first place. Clint said he sold his apartment building. Then Clint asks Luke to get down, as it was emasculating that a dude who is basically bulletproof to just stand there and take all those rounds. As Luke kneels down, Clint says, "Isn't that a lot better?" Just then Luke grabs the nearest manhole cover and uses it to knock out Iron Deficiency Man. Luke asks Clint if he wants some food, but Clint tells him he already ate. But Luke was insistent that they at least go get a taco. So Clint caves in and says they can as he goes and picks up his arrows. You know, I always wondered what he did with those arrows he shot and missed. Later we cut to one of the Hood's operations. The Hood and his headman talk about the Human Bomb and how hot his wife is, and how the Human Bomb is in a coma at the moment. This man is a true villain as soon as a lower-tier villain is out of the game. Another is willing to slide into the wife's DMs, how Bryce, a teenage hacker they hired, interrupts them, but before the Hood's main henchman turns him away. The Hood tells him it's all right as he ushers him into a meat locker where a man was bounded and tied. As the Hood asks the man who's been hitting his sights and taking his money, the man tells him that it was Ronin, and as the Hood unalives him, he asks if the Ronin had hit anyone else besides him. However, the henchman tells him he doesn't know at the moment, and they're going to capture other factions, gang members, to see if they did. So basically the Hood showed Bryce that if he talks about Ronin, he's not going to stay in service for long. The next day, as Clint walks into the hospital, he talks to a man called Edward Foy. The reason Clint wants to talk to Ed is that he wants to open up a free state-of-the-art rehab center. But he gets laughed at as they tell him that a project like that wouldn't receive fundings. However, Clint drops a massive amount of cash and tells Ed he's looking forward to working with him. The next night, Ronin again attacks one of the Hood's operations. But as he makes his way to Bryce's office, he demands codes to the safe and for Bryce to be quick about it. But Bryce won't because of what the Hood might do to him. But Ronin tells him if he doesn't do it right now, he's going to start hacking and slashing. But Bryce tells him he won't, as he found out who the Ronin is. And it was none other than Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye. But how does this make sense if Hawkeye was at another place when Ronin was attacking? Or is there two Ronins now? Like and subscribe, as it will be explained in the next issue.